Thanksgiving night.
Prime Time. Now from New York, Diane Sawyer.
Good evening. The streets of St. Petersburg, Florida erupted in violence and fire last month in reaction to the killing of an African-American teenager by police who had pulled him over during a routine traffic stop. The intensity of that reaction struck a chord throughout the country. Why? Well, consider this. Nearly every African-American John Quinones talked to in researching our first story, doctors, lawyers, university professors, said they believe they had been targeted by police when they were driving, pulled over simply because they're black. Is this really going on, and is there any way to know? Well, take a look.
Young black men in an expensive car. Be honest, what do you think?
You're seeing a black youth in what you think is a drug dealer's car.
They could be up to no good, or simply going to the movies.
Unit 21, headquarters.
Unit 21?
Is there a problem, officer?
Too often, in the eyes of law enforcement, it really doesn't matter.
Yo, if you're black, you're guaranteed most of the time to get pulled over if you're in the wrong area at the wrong time.
People in the black community say it happens all the time. Motorists stopped by police for little or no reason other than the color of their skin. There's even a term for it. You've heard of DWI, driving while intoxicated. Well, this offense is called DWB, driving while black. How many of you feel that you've been stopped unjustly by police for no reason? Really?
At the annual Black Caucus Convention in Washington, D.C. recently, we interviewed people at random, and virtually everyone told the same story.
Eventually, I was pulled over. I was not speeding. I was told by the police that I was not speeding.
4 cop cars stopped with sirens blaring, stopped me.
If you're dressed a certain way, sometimes it doesn't happen. If I have a suit on, if I'm coming from work, I don't think it'll happen. But if you have a hat on backwards, which sometimes I like to do because it's comfortable, it'll happen.
It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be happening in America in 1996.
Charles Ogletree is a law professor at Harvard University.
Thank you very much, and good morning. It's happened to me. It's happened to my family. It's happened to my colleagues.
It's happened to
my
you?
friends. Oh, absolutely. People don't believe it happens to you. People don't believe that police would violate the law. They don't believe that they would ignore the Constitution, but it happens time and time again.
The consequences can be frightening. In South Carolina earlier this year, a black woman was dragged from her car and threatened by a patrolman. The violation? Speeding. And then there's the case of Johnny Gamage. He was suffocated while being held down by police near Pittsburgh during a traffic stop. He'd been driving a Jaguar that belonged to his cousin, a pro football player. 2 of the officers involved are now awaiting trial for involuntary manslaughter. But those are the extreme cases. The more common experience goes largely unnoticed and unrecorded. Usually, that is. Take a look at these videotapes, recorded by police in Volusia County, Florida, as evidence. Now they're being used as evidence against police. They show hundreds of people being stopped for mainly minor traffic violations. Most of them are black.
The reason I stopped is you drove out of your lane. You drove into this emergency lane a little bit. That truck that was in front of you were following it too closely.
And the questions often have nothing to do with any traffic violation.
What's in South Carolina? Huh? What's in South Carolina?
I was visiting my cousin.
Oh, really? How long were you up there for? Where in Fort Lauderdale are you going?
Southwest.
Oh, really? How long are you down there?
The motorists are told they are free to go.
Okay, I'm not going to write you a ticket. You can't get it.
But time and time again, the officer makes one more request.
Ma'am, are you carrying any illegal narcotics, illegal weapons, or firearms?
No.
You don't mind if I look? Have a good day. Mr. Petticoat, you're not carrying any illegal weapons, narcotics, or contraband in that vehicle, are you? You mind if I search it?
Of all the people stopped, only 1 in 50 was carrying anything illegal. The vast majority were innocent. It can happen anywhere, we are told.
Even in places like this, the all-American small town of Jamesburg, New Jersey, Well, PrimeTime decided to try a little experiment. With the help of hidden cameras, we put ourselves in the driver's seat. We installed the cameras inside this luxury car and asked the owner's son and two of his friends to take a drive through town. Ray is a student at New York University. Bill's a college graduate who works in his family's business. And Jason is a junior at Harvard University. They've all been stopped before.
Being pulled over is really not a big deal, you know, unless I get hit. You know, it's really not, you know, I'm just glad to be able to say, all right, fine, get in the car and leave. If we do get pulled over, I definitely won't be surprised at all.
It's about 9:30 at night. They're driving carefully through town on our second night in Jamesburg. This time, within minutes, they're pulled over.
Is there a problem, officer?
Yes, sir. Back there where it was at a left turn, arrow on the ground, made a lane change. That used your blinker first.
Immediately, there are two squad cars on the scene. All this for not using a blinker.
I'll be right with you, okay?
Ray, get some ID from the other two passengers.
Good ID on you?
When Ray, the passenger in the back, says he forgot his ID, they're immediately told to get out of the car.
Tell you what, passenger, why don't you get out of the vehicle, please?
Remember, they were stopped for a minor traffic violation. But both Bill and Ray are separated, questioned, even frisked. So is Jason. And their car is searched, although police never asked permission.
This is a complete search, going into packages.
We showed our videotape to Professor Ogletree.
That's a traffic violation. It's not a basis to do any of what he's doing.
What it appears they're doing, says Ogletree, is conducting an illegal search. Our cameras capture the officer's suspicions when they find a cosmetics case in the back seat.
Probably dope.
Probably dope. Oh, boy. Why would he say that? Hunch? Evidence? Because they're black men, probably in a late model car, at night, and that's all he needs. The rest he can fill in the blanks. It's sad.
It's called profiling.
Victor Knowles, chief of police in Jamesburg.
That's the law enforcement term. It's profiling. Does it go on? It goes on every day, every night, in every town, everywhere in the United States.
Do you agree with the profiling?
No, I don't. I don't.
In Jamesburg, 3 young black men in a Mercedes. Suspicious?
No. Why? Why would it be suspicious?
But then we showed the chief what we saw in his own town.
Receive passenger, slide across the back seat, come over on my side, okay?
Right.
I personally didn't see anything wrong with that, okay? The search was incidental to the individual officer's protection. It didn't appear to me that they went into any areas that they shouldn't have gone.
That search was constitutionally okay?
I got that impression, yes.
Should they ask permission?
Well, it's a good point. I think it could be borderline.
And then there's the reason used to pull them over, not using the blinker to change lanes.
It may be innocuous or minor, but it gives the officer the probable cause.
But was it the real reason? On another night, we watched this same intersection for 3 hours and couldn't help but notice that hardly anyone used their blinker.
We counted 260 cars at that intersection, and of those, 223 also failed to turn on their blinkers, including 4 police squad cars, by the way.
That's not unusual.
And they weren't pulled over.
Okay. I don't have an answer for you. You know, I mean, maybe there's a possibility that this fit the criteria of profiling.
And what about the officer's assumption that they were carrying dope, which they weren't?
Probably dope.
I don't think it was appropriate. These individual officers will be admonished for their conduct pertaining to remarks like that. Certainly, definitely inappropriate.
Police departments across the country insist that they don't target anyone because of their race. But no one keeps national statistics. The only figures available are from places where lawsuits have been filed. In Volusia County, Florida, those videotapes show that 62% of the drivers stopped were black. In southern New Jersey, 42%. And in northern Maryland, 72% of those stopped and searched on I-95 were black.